coming into the season, the Raptors, the expectation of them was that they're going to be about a 500 team. If you looked at betting odds, it suggests they're going to be just under a 500 team. But Raptors fans, I think the most of us felt like this was a team that could be a little bit above 500, challenge for maybe a top 6 position in the East, but more likely a play-in tournament spot. But with the way the Raptors started the season, they're 10-5. They've won 5 games in a row, and they're all the way up to second in the Eastern Conference. Naturally, there's going to be players now with further involvement and members now with further involvement into the conversation surrounding end-of-season awards. So let's take a look at where things stand right now for the current Raptors group in terms of those awards. Big awards that are out there. We've got the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, Sixth Man of the Year, now Clutch Player of the Year, along with Coach of the Year. And after the Raptors' great start to the season, let's see how much respect the individuals within the team are getting. So, as far as MVP is concerned, I think it's very safe to say that no Raptors players are really going to be involved with the MVP market. Look, this isn't really one player driving us forward here. It's very much a committee of players playing well to get us into this position. So, no MVP. There's no real large MVP candidacy for the Raptors. I'm actually going to be looking on DraftKings. I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just, I think, the most widely used sports book. So I'm just going to be looking at DraftKings odds to give us a good understanding of where things stand for Raptors members. And there was not a single Raptors player listed as a possible MVP candidate right now. Not to say that none of them can win. You know, if the Raptors go on an absolute tear this season, it is extraordinarily unlikely for any Raptors player to be in that position come the end of the season. So, not going to be in the mix there for MVP. But where the Raptors could be in the mix for an award, and I think this is the strongest case we have right now, it's absolutely the Coach of the Year market. Currently, at least on FanDuel, Darko Rajakovic is listed as the second favorite to win this award. He's currently at plus 700. JB Bickerstaff plus 300. He is first in the race for this award, which makes sense because if you looked when I showed you the NBA standings, yes, the Raptors in second. They've won 5 in a row. The Pistons are first. They have won 11 games in a row. They look fantastic this season and a big jump up from last season. Really like how you win the Coach of the Year award. Coach of the Year's awards are won typically with how much more did the team achieve than they were expected to. So if the Raptors, let's say, were supposed to be a play-in team, and then they end up being like a top 4 seed, yeah, Darko Rajakovic for sure is a finalist for that award. I mean, I'd be quite shocked if he wasn't. For the Pistons, they're supposed to be kind of a middle-of-the-pack playoff team, like 4th or 5th, maybe 6th, similar positions to what they were last year. If that team were to win the Eastern Conference in the regular season, it could be the 1 seed. JB Bickerstaff, just because they're able to be the 1 seed, would probably be favored in order to get that award. But a huge contrast to last season. I mean, so much of what Darko Rajakovic has done so poorly for the Raptors over the last couple of years is now a strong suit of him. Like the half-court offense has been horrendous for 2 years. It's been great this year. The defense has been truly terrible for a lot of his tenure, and it's been decent this year, and hopefully is improving, and hopefully is not a point of weakness for the Raptors. The clutch play this year has been good when needed. That has not been the case in recent seasons. And sure, they've added Brandon, which has helped that, but you got to give credit to the coaching staff. And I mean, the way the offense has looked as a whole, the way the ball is moving, the way we're distributing around so many high usage players, like, you have to give a ton of credit to the coaching staff for that. Rotations have been way better, and they've been terrible for dudes, but they've been way, way better, I think, this season. There's been some games where it's been a little bit questionable, but way better. There's a lot of strong suits to Darko Rajakovic and his coaching team, which after 2 years of real disappointment with Darko Rajakovic, the head coach, he has tremendously started to turn things around this season and absolutely deserves to be in this Coach of the Year conversation. Now, what will it actually take for him to win the award here? Well, Raptors, I mean, they'd have to have a really good, they'd have to be a top 4 seed. They'd have to be a top 4 seed in the East. I don't think the Raptors could be a 5th or 6th seed and Darko Rajakovic wins this award. That's not going to happen. It'd have to be a top 4 seed. Thankfully, as for the remaining schedule, and this is pretty early to look at it, and there's still a lot of season, and it's still like a small sample size of opposition teams to determine. But the remaining strength of schedule, Raptors have the 23rd hardest. So one of the easiest schedules remaining in the NBA, 8th easiest schedule remaining in the NBA as of right now. And I also wanted to kind of take a peek at how the season is going to finish. Because you get towards the end of the season, like last year near the end of the season, the Raptors won a bunch of games against teams that were more aggressively tanking than they were. So I'm kind of thinking, well, what if we're getting a bunch of games at the end of the season against some teams that should be tanking? Those are some pretty easy wins at the end of the season to kind of rack some up to help with this award. And in the end, it's not the easiest end of season schedule, to be honest. I was kind of hoping we would have it just for his sake, but I don't think we're going to get it. Like if we look at, let's just take like the last 12 games or so. You've got Utah, who will be tanking. You've got the Clippers, who actually surprisingly might be tanking. The Pelicans, who will be tanking. The Kings, who probably will be tanking at that point. Memphis, who the way they look might be tanking. Boston, we'll see, actually. I wouldn't put it past them to be tanking at this point. And Brooklyn end of the season will absolutely be tanking. So actually, I mean, now that I say it out loud, that's 1, 2, 3, probably 4. That's probably 5 guaranteed tanking teams. It could end up being 6. And then, yeah, there's some tough games mixed in with like Miami, who will probably be playing for something. The Knicks, who will be playing for something unless seeding is not a factor. But then you could say the same for us. But like, not the easiest, but not the hardest end of season schedule. And I'm also getting a little bit ahead of myself. Like, these games would be very meaningful for the Raptors. Like, we're 10-5. We could lose 5 games in a row, and all of a sudden we're chasing for play-in tournament spots again, right? Like, still a small sample size, trying to keep like the reality check here. But the Raptors are in a position where if they have a good run this season, Darko Rajakovic absolutely will be in the conversation for Coach of the Year as he currently stands, as we saw there. JB Bickerstaff, though, if the Pistons keep up anything like the way they are playing so far this season, JB Bickerstaff is firmly in line for this award. What a great job he's done with the Detroit Pistons over the last season and a little bit. Other people in this conversation, Mitch Johnson of the Spurs. Yeah, like the Spurs keep it up and make the playoffs, he'd have a candidacy. I mean, you can't forget about Mark Daigneault, because like if the Thunder win, like if the Thunder could break like the 74 win record, then he'd have to be really in the conversation. If the Lakers have a great year, maybe JJ Redick. But anyways, Darko firmly in this race. Let's move on to some other awards here. So I think the second most likely spot we find ourselves is the Defensive Player of the Year award. And Scottie Barnes in the last week or so has really vaulted himself up this page. So for reference, he's currently at plus 10,000. I bet him at plus 30,000. I wouldn't bet him at this number here. I bet him earlier in the week when I thought like he's playing some like amazing defense. The Raptors defense overall looks pretty good. Plus 10,000, by the way. It has an implied probability of less than 1%, and when you factor in the VIG in the market, it's a good amount less than 1% chance. So still not a very good chance, but at the least, in the conversation. And if the Raptors defense is pretty good this year, and Barnes plays like the way he's doing, I think it is worthy of mentioning him in this conversation. I think Osar Thompson is somebody to keep an eye on at the bottom here. But ultimately, like, if Victor Wembanyama plays enough games, he's winning this award. This is kind of what the market is right now. He's plus 350, but if Victor Wembanyama plays 65 plus games, he's getting this award. Problem is, he's out for a few weeks. I think he's going to miss like 10 games here. That doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for him. I very much don't think he'll be playing 65 plus games, which makes him ineligible for this award. So beyond that, I think the way the Thunder are going to play, the amount of wins they're going to get, if Chet plays 65 plus, I think he'll probably win. But he also has dealt with injuries in the past. So if both of them are out of it, it's kind of like a bit of a free-for-all. Evan Mobley won last year. It's tough to win back-to-back years. I definitely think Barnes has some candidacy to this. Now, for Barnes to win this, he's played well enough, I think, to be in the conversation on his own. However, the Raptors defense, there has to be a bit of mention for the Raptors defense. Scottie Barnes would to win this. The Raptors have to be a top 10 defense minimum, but bare minimum. And even then, he has a lot of work to do. The Raptors currently have the 14th best defense when it comes to defensive rating. If you kind of dig a little bit deeper into the stats, some of this is a little bit luck driven. Some of it, at least. The Raptors play well defensively, but there has been an element of luck to it. The Raptors have one of the best opposition 3-point percentages in the league, which some of it is because of the defense, but some of it is because teams, the variance has swung in our favor. Teams not hitting as many threes against us. There's truth to both sides of it. So we'll see if the Raptors can maintain these defensive levels. But like I said, I wouldn't play it at plus 10,000. I think that's probably where it should be right now. But as far as we're not talking about betting here, talking about the candidacy, I think Barnes could get himself into this conversation if the Raptors have a good record, the defense stays quality, and he keeps playing like this. Good grief, along with some luck injury-wise for other negative luck for other teams injury-wise. If Wemby plays 65 games plus, he's winning this award. That's it. He's winning it. He just is. But he may not play 65 games. Last thing I kind of wanted to look at here is Clutch Player of the Year. Now, this might be a tad of a stretch because, guys like Shea have been so good in the clutch this year, and so has Cade Cunningham. But, I don't want to completely count out Brandon Ingram here. He's plus 15,000 right now. I don't think this is good. I don't think it's a great number. I wouldn't play Brandon Ingram here. But just, keep an eye on it. Perhaps, if Brandon Ingram can continue to command kind of clutch situations for the Raptors, maybe they find themselves in some more of these clutch situations. Maybe Brandon Ingram can kind of sneak his way into some conversations here. I think that would be a really interesting development as we progress through this season.